Sunset Boulevard had a very humble shtetl-like beginning. The earliest street along the general path that Sunset now follows existed as early as 1780. Imagine the billboards back then.
1780, where were we at that point? We were still Spain.
Spanish.
Come to the mission. Don't ask questions about who built it.
Listen to Andres Pico's hottest new album.
Yeah.
A Spanish Angeline had giant billboards on there. She was Angelino. She's driving a pink
puro.
It was used to connect the pueblo to the ranches that were further west, and then it went even further still to the ocean, and it was originally called Bellevue Street.
Okay.
With some sections of it were known as Short Street, Bread Street, which I read like Shortbread Street, and Marshasalt Street, which was, what was he, one of the mayors or something?
Yeah.
Something like that. The road that became Sunset itself originally started on a hill in Hollywood where a U.S. senator named Cornelius Cole lived in the late 1800s. So driving down this road gave him good views of the sunset, so the name of the street was born. Good Views Avenue. The first official mention of Sunset Boulevard was in 1888. That's the first time it was ever officially referred to in like the city annals, if you were. It's believed that the name was given by some random city employee who liked the view on it. I think that's the best legacy I can aspire to now, is a random city employee who named an iconic street. Yeah. But we don't remember what his name is.
No. And it's so simple why he named it, and so obvious that it would have been named that anyways by somebody else.
David Sunset.
You laugh. That's how I feel about Silver Lake.
By the way, did you see the new plans they have for Silver Lake?
No.
The reservoir looks really like I keep saying like, wow, Silver Lake is really ugly, and you keep saying no, it's not. It's not. But the new plan they have, really nice. It's not a giant chain link fence surrounded by some old tar that you can walk on.
You're being really mean. I guess because I grew up around Echo Park Lake, that I thought it was a beautiful description of the reservoir.
Yeah.
And then you're like, it's named after like Jasper Silver. What?
A city employee who really liked silver. The new plans look, those fences aren't there. It's going to be almost like a marsh, parts of it, where you can like walk through the marsh on these wooden planks.
Cool.
Great place to dump bodies. Yeah. So it only stretched as far as Laurel Canyon, this Sunset Boulevard, until 1906, because from there west is where city life was no more. Right. That's where Los Angeles ended. This was part of a town known as Sherman, and this part west of Laurel Canyon was a 240-acre ranch owned by a Belgian banker named Victor Ponnet. He had his house at what is now Sunset and Sunset Plaza Drive, and he grew avocado and poinsettias until 1906, when Sunset Boulevard, 1906, that's when it got extended through his property, and this particular area became known as Hacienda Park, which covered from Sweetser to what is now La Cienega. This stretch of Sunset Boulevard, though, was still just dirt and gravel. It was also an unincorporated part of Los Angeles that was surrounded by city land on all sides. So because of that, it was labeled the name as a few other dozen sections around the city like that, where it's like city, 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 but in the middle of that is county unincorporated land. So there were several of these areas. Those were known as county strips. So since it was still Sunset Boulevard, though, this stretch of road became known as the Sunset Strip, and it just stuck forever. The first recorded reference to the Sunset Strip was in the LA Times in 1935, but in 1937, there was a contest held by the Hollywood Citizen News to give a new nickname to the area, and the winner, drumroll, Greg's mama.
You mean, you gotta fight me now.
Add it to the list of fights I have to get into at the end of coronavirus. Stop looking at your phone.
My mom said, is someone talking about me? And I need to just tell her that.
No, mother. I defended you to the hilt.
She's in a rocking chair right now in an old castle. In the
fruit cellar. Because it's the coolest place to be right now. So the winner of this contest was the Sunset 80s.
Say it again?
The Sunset 80s.
80, like between 70s and 90s.
Don't touch that dial. Because of the address numbers in that stretch of the Sunset Strip. Yeah. I mean, that's what it should have been called in the Van Halen time, but the winner was paid $25 because it tells people where we are. That's a close quote.
Yeah, why don't you just name it the longitude and latitude numbers?
The Sunset 35 degree 47 inch. Yeah, no one called it that. Yeah, nobody wants to call it that.
Did a calculator name it?
Turn it upside down though.
Uh-oh, dirty.
Then you got the Sunset Strip in the 70s.
Hey, calculator, you're nasty. Is that word? That's going to be my new catchphrase. You like it?
Keep watching me Sunset Strip and you'll see what a calculator can say backwards.
Oh my God, you're nasty.
Boobs. So what exactly is considered to be the Strip is now seriously protected, like how Champaign isn't Champaign unless it's from Champaign. Like it's not the Sunset Strip unless you're between this street and this street.
Yeah, it's where the movie theater is. What is that, Crescent Heights?
The consensus seems to be that it's the roughly 1.7 mile stretch of Sunset from Sweetser to Doheny Road. But I also heard that Schwab's Pharmacy was part of the Strip, and that was where the the Laugh Factory now is, which was a few blocks east of that. I think officially it's, what would I say, Sweetser to Doheny. Like, that's the strip.
I'm going to contest.
Then you're just drinking sparkling wine. You're not drinking champagne. I'm sorry.
Buddy, Champagne is Crescent Heights to Doheny. And then maybe a block more to that liquor store there.
No.
That's the official end. That's
you're not eating. You're eating blue cheese. You're not eating blue cheese.
You don't even know. You don't even live the life of a Sunset stripper, you know? That's what we're called, right?
No, that's what we all agree. I won the contest.
Yeah.
They paid me $25 to refer to myself as a Sunset stripper.
Because if you don't count Crescent Heights, you're missing Chateau Marmont.
I don't think they're considered part of the Sunset Strip. Did you see that they're becoming not a hotel anymore?
Yeah,
also,
I saw that. I didn't tell you. We tried to go to Last Bookstore, and they wanted to charge us a cover fee to get in. $5. It was this guy who didn't look like he worked there, and he patted my pockets, and he's like, $5 to get in.
It's this guy. It was in the alley out back. He had a knife, and he was trying to grab Ada's pearls.
Yeah, and my son was there. He's like, I'm Batman. I'm like, easy, kid.
That's ridiculous, because I know that, like, book people have complained about.
Again?
Hang on. Let me try to capture
this. He did
on
quotes
audio.
with his fingers, by the way, and roll his eyes.
Open quote, book people, close quote. We were talking before this about another podcast who does history, who, whenever they start a quote, they say, quote, book people, close quote. But anyway, like, I know that people complain that the Last Bookstore is more about, like, come look at our tunnel of books, look at how our books are organized by color. But, if you're trying, like, do you have the treaties on this, like, they don't have it. But it just confirms how they feel.
Yeah.
That now you have to pay to come see the attractions inside of the bookstore.
I like to call Last Bookstore my my Lee Brackett store, because they have a bunch of Lee Brackett paperbacks for really cheap. But other than that, I'm like, why would I buy a $50 book from the library down the street?
There's really good stuff there. But yeah, like, I remember last time I went there, we went to the upstairs area, which isn't, like, it's not the glamorous area, and boy, was it not organized at all. Anyway, so what's the big deal with the Sunset Strip? So what's the big deal with me stripping on Sunset? The name itself is the key. Since it was a strip, a county strip, it was not part of LA City, which meant it was under county jurisdiction.
Vernon rules apply, buddy.
If you're not making hot dogs, it's legal. So it was under county jurisdiction, which meant that the LAPD were not allowed to operate there. They couldn't cross.
The badge doesn't work here, pal.
You don't need no stinking badges. Yeah. You do need a lot of money, though, to
probably
buy
a Tommy
off.
Gun and a friend who's a judge.
Maybe a dame to die for. They couldn't go past Crescent Heights. The LAPD could not. I mean,
it's almost like it's the start of it, huh? If it's past Crescent Heights, almost like it's the beginning of the strip.
That's where the county ended. That's not where the strip began. There's the nether region, and then you get to the strip.
I gotta go home.
I gotta go do something illegal on Crescent Heights and see what happens. So it was sheriff territory, but sheriff territory.
Sheriff Tory?
Have you ever met Sheriff Territory? Boy, is he brutal. Sheriff Territory was so big. How big was he? Greg's mama.
How dare you?
By the way, I do not mean any of this. I love your mom.
Oh, I know. I know that we're joking around.
Yes.
And I'll do play digs at your parents too sometimes. Yeah. And I just want you to know that, like,
but your mom listens, and I hope she doesn't, because I care very deeply for her.
Okay, we'll see.
How deeply?
Put it all on the postcard this month. All the stuff you said about her, and then
Greg is so sorry for what he said in this episode. Okay, so Sheriff Territory, he was so big.
How big was she?
It was so big that in LA at the time, the sheriff's department was so small. I don't know who I'm insulting anymore. The sheriff's
how small was he?
Sheriff Territory was so big. Sheriff Department is so small. It was impossible to try to keep tabs on everybody in county, because you're aside from just like, this area of Sunset, you're also Santa Clarita, most parts of the West. Everything was county.
We went to we were staying in Victorville for the week, and we went to Wrightwood, which is like closer to the mountains. It's part of the San Gabriel Valley. We were like only 30 minutes away from Victorville, and we turned a corner to just like make a U-turn, and it's at LA County line. I'm like, that's far away.
They got me. It's crazy how far, because is Palmdale or Lancaster?
Lancaster is LA County.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's so far.
It takes like 2 hours to get there.
Oh, Lancaster to like Long Beach or whatever.
It's like half of the state is Los Angeles. Well, we have Owens Valley also, so we're expanding.
Oh, that's right. We have whatever area Manzanar and Owens Valley is on.
You can't keep tabs on everything. Yeah. And so instead of trying, they just didn't.
I have a new plan.
We're stretched a little thin. I've got a solution.
Yeah.
Give up.
They had like a meeting with donuts and stuff, and everybody got there early, and they got dressed and combed their hair.
They're spreading butter on top of their donuts. You see how we don't have enough butter to go on this donut.
So everybody open up your binders. We're going to go over the new plan, but there's not even binders.
but sir, where are our binders?
We don't need those stinking binders.
When the area first became less farm farms and more city, but not actually city. There were a few restaurants. I'm talking about the Sunset Strip again, like the Nut Kettle and Hamburger Jack's, which sound like restaurant names that would fit in perfectly today in West Hollywood.
Yeah, I think Hamburger Jack's had a really good neon sign or a good
probably.
sign.
I want to see the Nut Kettle. I wonder if Hamburger Mary's is some sort of reference to Hamburger Jack's.
Possibly. We'll never know.
We'll never know because everything's closed forever. Yeah. What people realized quickly was the Sunset Strip was the Wild West of the city, and there weren't really any laws on the Sunset Strip. This started to attract places that needed to operate outside the law, such as speakeasies and brothels and casinos and places where members of the LGBTQ community could hang out without being harassed.
Yeah.
So that's also how West Hollywood kind of became a gay neighborhood, is because originally it was legal.
Yeah.
Or at least you wouldn't be killed.
Exactly. You wouldn't get arrested. It wasn't illegal, but I'm sure a bunch of thugs would still probably chase you.
What, you think a bunch of mobsters from the East Coast have a problem with gay people? Have you seen The Sopranos?
I don't like to generalize, but I'm going to say a bunch of macho guys are probably uneasy at best.
You're telling me that Frankie Never Would Kiss a Man has a problem with gay people? So at first, a lot of these places were just operated out of people's houses in the hills, but then dedicated clubs started opening, and since
We're tired of you wanting to go to bed. We're tired of parking all of our cars in one garage.
It's getting a little weird that you're sleeping with all of these ladies of the night on my duvet. So since Hollywood was just starting to come into its own around this time, all the movie stars had to drive through this strip on their way from the studios, their work at the studios in Hollywood, to their homes in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
It quickly became the place for celebrities to hang out. It was convenient and it was lawless, so you could do anything. Then two talent agents named Victor Orsatti and Milton Bren moved their office in at 9000 Sunset, and that started drawing other showbiz people to open up their offices because they knew this is where stars wanted to hang out. And also, I believe they didn't have to pay business taxes since it wasn't part of the city. Then in 1924, a development known as the English Village brought more businesses, and also that year came 4 Georgian revival buildings built by Povett, who used to own the land, his son-in-law Francis Montgomery, that later became known as Sunset Plaza. That went on to house the first place I'll be talking about, but also the Russian Eagle Cafe run by our old friend Theodore Lodogensky.
Oh, wow.
His restaurant was in the Sunset Plaza. So then in 1920...
No.
What?
I'm trying to remember his nickname, but Theodore Lodi, or
the real Michael Romanoff. Then, which is my Weird Al parody of the real Slim Shady. It's a deep cut. Then in 1925, the whole area rebranded as West Hollywood to play up their new celebrity appeal and cash in on the real Hollywood glamour, and it worked, and more celebrities started moving there permanently, such as the most glamorous celebrity of all, Lon Chaney.
Junior or senior?
Senior.
Man of a Thousand Faces? Yeah. Man of a Thousand Houses?
So then in 1929 came the Sunset Tower Hotel, where a bunch more celebrities moved into. So it was a happening place, which is crazy to think about because the strip wasn't even paved until 1937.
Weird.
Imagine like Cary Grant going to a club on a gravel road.
I know. You're standing outside in this beautiful gown, impeccable makeup, and then just like a dust cloud comes, and then out pops like Bela Lugosi.
Yeah. What? Well, he always pops out of a dust cloud.
But you were a bat when you parked.
No, I wasn't. Yeah, imagine like your Errol Flynn is walking to a club, and all of a sudden it starts raining, and he would love that. He's a pig, that man. But
alleged pig.
A legendary alleged pig. But what was really drawing people in were dens of vice, and everyone knew it. It was said that the illegal gambling that was going on the Sunset Strip was, quote, as secret as the Washington Monument.
Pretty funny. What's that? Where is it?